please give this video a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel to grow. Hi, welcome back to the Kitchen Prescription. I'm Sherry. I know everyone's like, Sherry, where have you been? I've been busy. People. So let's get into today's recipe. But Sherry, what are you making, you ask? Why, I'm making smoked stuffed peppers. It's kind of dreary out today, so I'm kind of craving stuffed peppers, and I usually just do them in the oven, but I did do them. I believe the last time I made them, we threw them on our smoker, and they were, not to be cheesy, but they were pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. I'm going to start by preparing some white long grain rice, then moving on to a lightly sweet, rich tomato sauce. Next, I'll prepare the meat mixture, then moving on to stuffing and saucing the sweet bell peppers. Finally, I'll bake at 350 degrees in the smoker for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to start with 1 cup of long grain rice. I've rinsed and strained my rice, and I'm going to pour it into a deep pot. Next, I will pour in 2 cups of water. Then I'm going to lightly season with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and a ½ teaspoon of sea salt. I'm going to bring to a boil, then I'm going to place the lid on, turn down to a low simmer, and let the rice absorb the water. Once the rice cooks light and fluffy, remove it from the heat and just let it come to room temperature. Next, I'll prepare my tomato sauce. This is what you're going to need for your tomato sauce mixture. You're going to need 17 ounces of tomato sauce, a 1/4 cup of chicken stock or beef stock, your choice, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by pouring the tomato sauce into a bowl. I'll rinse out the container with a tiny bit of water as well, just to get everything out of the container. Next, I'm going to come in with my 1/4 cup of chicken stock, or you could use beef stock as well. I'm just going to get that. I use bouillon base, so I'm just making sure it's all out of the bottom. Next, I'm going to add my salt. Then we're going to add the pepper. I said a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, but I think I'm just going to sprinkle this in here because I may have put too much. I usually just eyeball it when I make it on my own. I would probably say more of 1/8 teaspoon of each. I feel like that's good. I don't want to overpower the sauce. I just want it to have a little, a little bite. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my brown sugar in. That's 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar. That just helps to take some of the acidity out of the sauce. So I'm just going to give this a little mix. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator just to hang out until I get my meat mixture ready, and then I will layer this in the bottom of the dish before I put my stuffed peppers in. So I've already showed you all how I make my rice and how I make my sauce mixture. So we're going to get right into the meat mixture. I was going to just chop my onion, but while I was in the shower, I was like, hey, maybe I should just grate that onion so those onion chunks aren't in there, because I want like the rice and the beef to be the star of this smoked pepper dish. Okay, I think I'm pretty much ready to get the recipe started. And the first thing I'm going to do is chop I just went outside. I had some fresh flat leaf parsley in the refrigerator, and I went out and picked some of my oregano, just a little. I don't want it to have like too much of an Italian flavor to it. So I'm just going to add a little oregano and get this chopped up. I'm a lefty. Okay, I have that chopped up pretty well, but before I do go ahead and grate my onion, I think I'll just go over all the ingredients that I am using in this stuffed pepper recipe and the meat mixture. So I'm using about a pound of 80/20 ground chuck. I usually let mine come to room temperature as well because I don't like my hands in cold meat. Okay, then I have about a cup of cooked rice. I don't know if I'm going to use this whole small onion. We'll see. 1 egg, about a 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. You could just use regular bread too. If you have bread, it's stale, you just chop it up and use it. Whatever you have around the kitchen. Then I have a 1/2 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I have a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Thereabouts. It's about a 1/4 cup, maybe a little less actually. It's probably more like 2 3/4 tablespoons. And then I'm just going to use a couple pieces of garlic that I'm going to press in my garlic press, but I don't want it too garlicky. Again, I don't want those Italian flavors coming through too heavy. And we have our salt, our pepper, and then I did, when I was mixing up my sauce recipe earlier, I had a little bit of leftover onion powder and garlic powder. So I'm just going to do a little sprinkle for extra seasoning. Of course, I have my peppers, so I already washed these. I'm going to half these with a knife and take out the seeds and the stem. I like mine half. I don't like to stuff the whole pepper. It's I don't know. I'm just funny that way. I like mine halved. I think they look prettier. And then I could top them with some cheese. And then you just have a nice portion for dinner. I'm going to go ahead and grate my onion now. So I'll just give this a little slice and peel off this skin. Move that out of the way. Put my knife over here. It's amazing. I have more counter space since we redid the kitchen, but I still struggle with room. I'm definitely trying to film a recipe video. Doesn't make it much easier. But I am a one-woman show. Nobody helps me. I do it all on my lonesome. I'm just a regular old gal in a regular old kitchen trying to share a recipe. I'm sure my eyes will start to water at some point. So I'm going to finish grating this onion and then I'll tell you about how much I have. Okay, so I ended up using just about almost all of that little onion. So it's just a small yellow onion. You could use a red onion if you want. You could just judge it. It's not going to be the end of the world if I don't give you the exact amount of onion. Just use however much you like. So in my case, it was almost all of this one little yellow onion. I did forget to tell you that I'm also going to put some cheddar cheese in here and just a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And then I will, at the end, top it with a little bit of extra cheddar cheese after it cooks on the smoker for a little bit. Before we put it on the smoker, it's going to be in a dish, obviously, a baking dish. And I'll just put some tin foil under it so I don't ruin my baking dish because I'm pretty attached to my bakeware and I love it and I don't want it to see it look like crap, okay? All right, and then I will cover it with some tin foil, let it cook for a little bit, and then I'll take it off and top it with that cheese towards the end. So the temperature for beef when you're cooking it should be around 160, 165, or until the juices run clear, then you know it's done. Okay, let's continue with the recipe. So just gonna move this out of the way for a second. Okay, so just gonna throw that beef in there. Little pro tip though is break up your beef, but when you're mixing everything together, don't overwork it. I read that somewhere. It doesn't like to be overworked. Someone also said before, put a little baking soda in your meat And I did that, and that's disgusting. I don't think I'll ever do that again. Okay, so that's pretty much broke up. I'm going to crack my egg in here, even though they say don't do that. It's a big no-no, but I don't care. But I will wash my hands because salmonella. All right. Okay, so egg is in there. I'm going to come in and hit it with my salt. I felt like I maybe oversalted my rice a little bit when I was filming it. So I usually put a teaspoon in with the meat, but I decreased that by half. So this is a half teaspoon of salt. And then pepper. This is about, I think this is a half teaspoon too. I don't know if I want all of that. So I'm just going to sprinkle it in there. Again, season to your liking. I used almost all of it, but I think that's good enough. Then I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of that onion powder and garlic powder mixture that I had left over. And I still have some left, so who knew? I'm going to save those breadcrumbs. Now I'm going to just add some of this rice in there. I don't want to gross anyone out by using my hands, even though it's my food and I'm eating it. People come for you when you do stuff like that. But I'm going to get all up in this mixture with my hands in a little bit. Kind of want to see. There's just a little left in here. I'm going to mix it for, you know what? Let's just live dangerously and put it all in there. All right, set this to the side. I'm going to pour in my Worcestershire sauce. This is a half tablespoon. Just for a little extra something, something flavor. Let me add my onion. Oh, I touched it. Let me do it the right way. I will touch my seasonings. Okay, so I'm just gonna get all those sprinkled in there. It's nice to have fresh herbs. Then I'm just gonna come in with the panko. Again, this is about 1/4 cup. And now I'm gonna pour in the heavy whipping cream. You could just use milk if you have it, or a milk substitute. My daughter-in-law is, she's gluten-free and lactose intolerant. So I have learned to cook a little bit to, what's the word I'm looking for? Just to like adapt the recipe to her, so we could all eat the same meal. We used to leave her out, and I just feel so bad. Oh, I forgot my garlic. Okay, so let's put the garlic in there. It's just 2 small pieces. Get you a good garlic press because it saves so much time and it saves your fingers from being smelly. I hate garlic fingers. All right, that should be enough. Just enough to, just a little kiss of flavor of garlic. I'm just going to go in here with my hands now so I don't overwork this, and I just want to distribute the rice evenly with the meat mixture and make sure the egg is mixed up pretty well. And then I'm going to go ahead and grate my cheese in here. I know it seems weird, but I always smell it to make sure that the seasonings are right. Like I could smell the onion, I could smell the seasonings. So I'm going to wash my hands and then I'm going to grate my cheese in here. I think that should be good. And then this is just mild cheddar cheese. Okay, so I'm going to finish grating my cheese and then I'll show you what the mixture looks like. And then in the meantime, I'm going to slice my peppers in half and like de-seed them and just make sure those are ready to go, and get my sauce out of the fridge and start stuffing these peppers. My sauce ready to go. I have my meat mixture ready. My peppers are washed, sliced, de-seeded, and now I'm just going to line the bottom of my dish with some of my sauce, and I need to go get a spoon. Going to generously put some sauce in the bottom of this dish. Just kind of spread it out just so the peppers don't stick to the bottom or burn. I am a fan of overstuffing my peppers. So I'm just going to come in here and just grab like a handful. I know it seems so gross. Raw meat grosses people out, but it's going to cook. Everything's going to be just fine. Also, the Mister will most likely make a cameo, but don't expect him to speak. He barely speaks to me. This is true. We're going to put these on the smoker at 350 degrees. When the internal temperature of the ground beef reaches 160 degrees, I'm going to pull these and I'm going to let them rest for 10 minutes. When they're about halfway done, I'll remove that tin foil just so they could get some more of that smoke flavor. About 10 minutes before they're done, I'll top them with a little extra shredded mild cheddar cheese and let them finish smoking. Thanks for joining me for today's recipe. You can get the full recipe in the description and at thekitchenprescription.com. Please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to comment and subscribe so you could see more of my videos. You could find more recipes like this at thekitchenprescription.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.